Captain Min-jun Park walked around the small aircraft one last time. His eyes checked every detail. The metal body looked good. The wings were clean. The tires had the right amount of air. He had done this same walk hundreds of times before, maybe thousands, but he never skipped it. Not once in 15 years of flying. The morning sun was just starting to rise over Seoul. The airport was busy with workers and early travelers. Min-jun loved this time of day. Everything felt fresh and new. He touched the side of the plane like he always did. It was his small ritual for good luck. Inside the airport terminal, 23 passengers were waiting to board. Most of them were families going to Jeju Island for vacation. Some were business people. A few were elderly couples. Min-jun had flown this route so many times he could do it with his eyes closed. Seoul to Jeju Island, just a short flight over the Yellow Sea. Easy and simple. His co-pilot, Ji-woo Kim, was already in the cockpit. She was younger than Min-jun, only 5 years of flying experience, but she was good at her job. Very careful and very smart. They worked well together. "Good morning, Captain," Ji-woo said with a smile. She was checking the instruments and writing notes on her clipboard. "Good morning, Ji-woo," Min-jun replied. He sat down in his seat and put on his headset. "How does everything look?" "Perfect," she said. "Weather is clear. All systems are normal. We should have a smooth flight today." Min-jun nodded. He began his own checks. Fuel levels were good. Navigation systems were working. Communication was clear. Everything was exactly as it should be. He felt calm and ready. The passengers began boarding. Min-jun could hear them walking down the aisle, putting their bags in the overhead compartments, finding their seats. A flight attendant named Subin came to the cockpit door. "Everyone is on board, Captain," she said. "We're ready when you are." "Thank you, Subin," Min-jun said. He pressed the button for the speaker system. His voice went to every seat in the plane. "Good morning, everyone. This is Captain Park. Welcome aboard Flight 457 to Jeju Island. Our flight time today will be about 1 hour. The weather is clear and beautiful. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight." He released the button and looked at Ji-woo. "Let's go." The engines started with their familiar sound, strong and steady. Min-jun loved that sound. It meant everything was working. It meant they were ready to fly. He spoke to the control tower, got permission to leave, and slowly moved the aircraft toward the runway. The takeoff was smooth and perfect. The plane lifted into the sky like a bird. Seoul got smaller and smaller below them. Soon they were flying over water. The Yellow Sea stretched out in every direction, blue and calm under the morning sun. Min-jun thought about his family. His wife Hee-jin was probably making breakfast right now. His 2 daughters, Seoyeon and Daeyeon, were probably still sleeping. They were 8 and 6 years old. Both of them loved it when he came home from flights. They would run to the door and jump into his arms. He smiled thinking about them. "We're at cruising altitude," Ji-woo said, pulling him back to the present. "Everything looks good." "Excellent," Min-jun said. He checked the instruments again. All normal. The plane was flying smoothly. The passengers were probably having their morning coffee now, looking out the windows at the ocean below. For 30 minutes, everything was perfect. The sky was clear. The instruments showed no problems. Min-jun and Ji-woo talked about normal things. The weather. Their families. Where they wanted to go on their next vacation, then something changed. The plane shook. Just a little bit at first. Min-jun sat up straighter in his seat. His eyes went to the instruments. "Did you feel that?" Ji-woo asked. Her voice was calm but alert. "Yes," Min-jun said. "Keep watching the instruments." The plane shook again. Harder this time. This was not normal turbulence. Min-jun had flown through storms before. This felt different, wrong. A red warning light came on. Then another. Then 3 more. "Hydraulic pressure is dropping," Ji-woo said. Her voice was still calm, but Min-jun could hear the concern in it. "Primary system." Min-jun's hands moved quickly over the controls. He tried to stabilize the pressure. Nothing worked. The numbers kept dropping. "Switch to backup system," he said. Ji-woo's fingers moved fast over the controls. Switching now. For a moment, Min-jun thought it would work. The backup system came online. But then more warning lights appeared. Red lights everywhere. "Backup system is failing too," Ji-woo said. Now her voice showed real worry. The plane shook harder. Min-jun could hear worried sounds from the passenger cabin. People were scared. He needed to stay calm. He needed to think clearly. "What's our distance to the nearest airport?" he asked. Ji-woo checked the navigation screen. Her face went pale. "We're right in the middle of the Yellow Sea. The nearest airport is 40 minutes away." Min-jun felt his heart beat faster. But his hand stayed steady on the controls. He had trained for emergencies. He knew what to do. Stay calm. Think clearly. Protect the passengers. More systems began to fail. The plane was losing altitude. Not fast, but steady. Min-jun tried everything he knew. Nothing worked. The hydraulic systems were completely gone. Without them, he had very limited control of the plane. "Ji-woo," he said quietly. "Prepare the passengers for a water landing." She looked at him with wide eyes. A water landing. That meant they were going to crash into the ocean. But she nodded. She understood. She pressed the button for Subin, the flight attendant. "Subin, this is the cockpit," Ji-woo said. Her voice was shaking a little. "Prepare passengers for emergency water landing. Follow all emergency procedures." Through the cockpit door, Min-jun could hear Subin's voice on the speaker. She was telling passengers to put their heads down, to hold on tight, to stay calm. Some people were crying. Some were praying. Min-jun wished he could tell them everything would be okay, but he didn't know if it would be. The plane was dropping faster now. The ocean was getting closer. Min-jun tried to keep the nose up. He tried to make the landing as gentle as possible. His mind was working fast. Where would they hit? How hard would the impact be? Would everyone survive? He thought about his daughters. He thought about his wife. Would he see them again? "I'm sending the Mayday signal," Ji-woo said. Her hands were shaking as she entered their coordinates. "Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. This is Flight 457, we're going down. Position is..." She gave the exact location. Min-jun gripped the controls tight. The water was so close now, just seconds away. He could see the waves. He could see the white foam on the surface. "Brace for impact," he shouted. But then something impossible happened. Through the cockpit window, Min-jun saw something that made no sense. In the distance, a boat. A fishing boat. But they were in the middle of nowhere. How could a boat be here? And it was moving toward them. Fast. Too fast for a normal boat. He had no time to think about it. The plane hit the water. The impact was violent. Metal screamed. Water exploded everywhere. The plane bounced once, twice, then skidded across the surface of the ocean. Min-jun's head hit something hard. Pain shot through his skull. Everything went black for a moment. When he opened his eyes, water was pouring into the cockpit. The plane was sinking. They were going down into the dark water. He could hear screaming. People were in trouble. He had to help them. Min-jun unbuckled his seatbelt. His ribs hurt. Something was broken. Blood ran down his face. But he ignored the pain. He had to save his passengers. That was his job. That was his responsibility. He looked at Ji-woo. She was unconscious but breathing. He grabbed her and pulled her toward the emergency exit. The water was freezing cold. It took his breath away. But he kept moving. He had to keep moving. His last thought before the chaos took over completely was about that boat. That impossible boat that appeared out of nowhere. Maybe help was coming. Maybe they had a chance. The freezing water shocked Min-jun awake. His eyes opened and all he could see was dark blue everywhere. He was underwater. His lungs burned. He needed air. He kicked his legs hard and pushed toward the light above him. His head broke through the surface and he gasped for air. Pain exploded in his chest. His ribs were definitely broken. Every breath hurt. But he was alive. He was alive. The scene around him was chaos. Complete chaos. People were screaming. The plane was half underwater, sinking slowly but steadily. The emergency slides had deployed, bright yellow against the dark water, but some of them were deflating. Passengers were in the water, some wearing life jackets, some not. Debris floated everywhere. Seat cushions, bags, pieces of the plane. "Help! Someone help!" A woman's voice cut through the noise. She was holding a little girl, trying to keep both their heads above water. The girl was crying, her small face red with fear. Min-jun swam toward them. Every movement sent pain through his broken ribs. His head was bleeding badly. Blood ran down into his eyes. He wiped it away and kept swimming. "I've got you," he said to the woman. He helped them toward one of the emergency slides that was still inflated. "Hold on here. Don't let go. My husband," the woman cried. "I can't find my husband." "I'll find him. Minjun promised. Just hold on tight. He looked around desperately. Where was Jiwoo? He had pulled her from the cockpit but lost her in the water. He spotted her floating face down about 20 feet away. No. He swam as fast as he could. His body screamed in pain, but he ignored it. He reached Jiwoo and flipped her over. Her face was pale, too pale, but she was breathing. Small, weak breaths, but breathing. He pulled her to the nearest slide and lifted her onto it. An elderly man was already there, coughing up water. The man helped pull Jiwoo up. Watch her, Minjun told him. Make sure she keeps breathing. The old man nodded. His name was Mr. Han. Minjun recognized him from when the passengers boarded. He had been traveling with his wife. Where's your wife? Minjun asked. Mr. Han's eyes filled with tears. I don't know. We got separated when we hit the water. My heart. I can't. He clutched his chest. His face was turning gray. Minjun felt panic rising. Mr. Han was having a heart attack. In the middle of the ocean. With no medical help. This was bad. This was very bad. He did a quick count in his head. 23 passengers plus 2 crew. 25 people total. He could see about 15 people around the plane. Where were the others? Some must still be inside the sinking aircraft. The plane was going down fast now. The nose was already underwater. The tail was sticking up, but not for much longer. If anyone was still inside, they would drown. Minjun took a deep breath, ignoring the pain in his ribs, and dove under the water. He swam into the plane through the emergency exit. The water inside was dark and full of floating debris. He could barely see anything. He felt his way through the cabin. His hands touched a seat, then a bag, then a person. A young man, unconscious, trapped by his seatbelt. Minjun's lungs were burning. He needed air, but he couldn't leave the young man. He fumbled with the seatbelt. His cold fingers wouldn't work properly. Finally, the buckle released. He grabbed the young man and kicked toward the exit. His vision was going dark. He wasn't going to make it. Just as he thought he would pass out, strong hands grabbed him. Someone pulled him and the young man out of the water. Minjun gasped for air, coughing and choking. I've got you, a voice said. An American accent. Deep and calm. Breathe slowly. You're okay. Minjun looked up. Through his blurred vision, he saw a man. A large man with short hair and an unmistakable face. He blinked hard, trying to clear his eyes. He had to be seeing things. He had to be hallucinating from the head injury. It was John Cena, the famous American wrestler and actor. But that was impossible. This was the middle of the Yellow Sea. How could John Cena be here? You're not real, Minjun whispered. The man smiled a little. I'm real enough. Now stay here and rest. I'll get the others. Before Minjun could say anything else, the man dove into the water. He moved like an Olympic swimmer, fast and powerful. He disappeared under the surface into the sinking plane. Minjun shook his head. He was confused. Nothing made sense. But he didn't have time to think about it. He was on a fishing boat. A commercial fishing boat. How did they get here so fast? His Mayday call had only been minutes ago. The boat's crew was pulling people out of the water. They worked quickly and efficiently. They had blankets and first aid supplies. The captain, an older Korean man with weathered skin, was shouting orders. Minjun looked back at the water. The American man surfaced with 2 more passengers, an elderly woman and a teenage boy. He brought them to the boat and crew members pulled them aboard. Then he dove again. Who is that man? Minjun asked one of the crew members. The crew member just shook his head. He was already here when we arrived. In the water. Like he was waiting. That made no sense. Nothing about this made any sense. The American man dove again and again. Each time he came up with more people. The unconscious young man. A businessman. A mother with a baby. He seemed to have unlimited strength and unlimited air in his lungs. He moved through the water like it was nothing. Minjun watched in amazement. His head was pounding. His ribs hurt with every breath. But he couldn't look away. This man, whoever he was saving everyone. Moving faster than seemed humanly possible. Diving deeper than any normal person could. Jiwoo woke up on the deck of the boat. She coughed hard. Water coming out of her mouth. Captain, what happened? We crashed, Minjun said. But we're being rescued. Everyone is being rescued. The American man brought Mr. Han's wife to the boat. She was barely conscious but alive. He placed her gently next to her husband. Then he checked Mr. Han's pulse, his face serious. He's having a heart attack, the man said to the boat captain. You have aspirin? The captain nodded and ran to get the medical kit. The American man took the aspirin and gave it to Mr. Han. He spoke softly to the elderly man, telling him to breathe slowly, telling him he would be okay. Where did he learn that? Min-jun wondered. How did he know what to do? The plane finally went under completely. It disappeared beneath the waves, leaving only debris on the surface. But everyone was out. The American man had gotten everyone out in time. He did one more dive, checking for anyone they might have missed. He stayed under for what seemed like an impossible amount of time. 2 minutes. 3 minutes, 4. Min-jun started to worry. Even this superhuman man couldn't breathe underwater. Finally, he surfaced. He swam to the boat and climbed aboard. He wasn't even breathing hard. Water dripped from his clothes. He looked around at all the survivors, counting them, making sure everyone was there. 25, he said. That's everyone. The boat captain started the engine. They needed to get to shore. They needed to get these people to a hospital. Mr. Han needed emergency medical care. Ji-woo needed to be checked for serious injuries. So did Min-jun. Min-jun tried to stand, but his legs wouldn't hold him. The American man caught him before he fell. Easy there, Captain, the man said. You've got broken ribs. Maybe a concussion, too. Sit down and rest. Who are you? Min-jun asked. His voice was weak. How are you here? How did you save everyone? The man helped Min-jun sit down on a wooden crate. He wrapped a thermal blanket around him. Right place, right time, he said simply. No, Min-jun insisted. That's not possible. We were in the middle of nowhere. This boat couldn't have gotten here this fast. And you saved everyone by yourself. That's not possible for a normal person. The man smiled. It was a kind smile. Maybe I'm not normal. Min-jun stared at him. Up close there was no doubt. This was definitely John Cena, the same face from movies and wrestling matches. But what was he doing in the Yellow Sea? How did he appear in the water before the boat even arrived? Why? Min-jun whispered. Why did you help us? The man stood up. He looked out at the ocean where the plane had disappeared. Because you needed help. And because I could. He turned back to Min-jun. You did good today, Captain. Your skill kept that plane together long enough. You saved lives with your flying. But you saved everyone, Min-jun said. We worked together, the man replied. That's how it's supposed to work. Other survivors were looking at him now. Some recognized him. The mother with the little girl pointed and whispered to her daughter. The teenage boy's eyes went wide. But the man just moved among them quietly, making sure everyone had blankets, checking on the injured ones, offering comfort. When he got to the elderly couple, Mr. and Mrs. Han, he sat down between them. He held their hands. You're going to be okay, he told them. Both of you. You survived something incredible today. Mrs. Han looked at him with tears in her eyes. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for saving my life. The man squeezed her hand gently. You're welcome. Min-jun felt his eyes getting heavy. The adrenaline was wearing off. The pain was getting worse. His head was spinning. He tried to stay awake, but it was so hard. The last thing he saw before everything went black was the American man standing at the front of the boat, looking toward shore. Standing there like a guardian. Like a protector. Like something more than human. Min-jun's final thought before he passed out was simple and impossible. An angel saved us today. Min-jun opened his eyes slowly. Everything was white and bright. He blinked several times, trying to understand where he was. The ceiling above him was clean and plain. He could hear beeping sounds. Medical equipment. He was in a hospital. He's awake, a voice said. A familiar voice. His wife, Hee-jin's face appeared above him. She was crying and smiling at the same time. Her hands touched his face gently. Min-jun. Oh, thank God you're awake. Behind her, he saw his 2 daughters, Seo-yeon and Da-eun. They looked scared but happy. He tried to smile at them, but his face hurt. How long? He asked. His voice was rough and dry. 2 days, Hee-jin said. You've been unconscious for 2 days. The doctors said you had a concussion, and 3 broken ribs, and hypothermia. We were so worried. 2 days. He had lost 2 whole days. Min-jun tried to sit up, but pain shot through his chest. He gasped and lay back down. Don't move, Hee-jin said. You need to rest. The doctor said you'll fully recover, but you need time. The passengers, Min-jun said urgently. Ji-woo, Mr. Han, everyone, are they okay? Hee-jin nodded, smiling through her tears. Everyone survived. All 23 passengers and both crew members. Some people have injuries, but everyone is alive. They're calling it a miracle. A miracle. Min-jun closed his eyes. Images flashed through his mind. The plane crashing, the freezing water, people screaming, and then him. The American man who saved everyone. John Cena, where is he? Min-jun asked suddenly, opening his eyes. Where is who? Hae-jin looked confused. The man who saved us. The American man. Where is he? Hae-jin and the girls looked at each other. Min-jun, I don't understand. The fishing boat rescued you. The captain and his crew pulled everyone from the water. No, Min-jun said. He shook his head and immediately regretted it. Pain made him dizzy. There was a man. An American man. He dove into the plane again and again. He pulled everyone out. He saved Mr. Han from his heart attack. Where is he? Hae-jin touched his forehead gently. Honey, you hit your head very hard. The doctor said you might be confused for a while. It's normal after a concussion. I'm not confused, Min-jun insisted, but doubt crept into his mind. Had he imagined it? Was it just a dream caused by his head injury? A doctor came in to check on him. She was young and professional. She examined his eyes, asked him questions, checked his ribs. Everything hurt, but she said he was healing well. When can I leave? Min-jun asked. A few more days, the doctor said. We want to make sure there are no complications from the concussion. Over the next day, many people came to visit. His co-pilot Ji-woo came, her arm in a sling but otherwise okay. The flight attendant Subin came with flowers. Some of the passengers came to thank him. They called him a hero. They said his flying skills saved their lives. But Min-jun kept asking about the American man. Everyone looked at him strangely. No one knew what he was talking about. Captain Park, Ji-woo said gently, I don't remember much after we hit the water. I was unconscious. But the fishing boat crew saved us. That's what everyone is saying. You don't remember someone pulling you out of the water? Strong hands? Min-jun asked desperately. Ji-woo thought for a moment. I remember being underwater, and then feeling someone grab me. Very strong hands, but I thought it was one of the crew members. It wasn't, Min-jun said. It was him. On the third day in the hospital, investigators came. They asked Min-jun many questions about the crash. What happened to the hydraulic systems? What did he do when they failed? How did he manage to keep the plane stable enough for a water landing? Min-jun answered all their questions. He told them everything he remembered about the technical failure. But he also told them about the American man. The investigators wrote down his words, but he could see they didn't believe him. One of them, a man named Inspector Yoon, spoke kindly. Captain Park, trauma can affect memory. Sometimes our brains fill in gaps with things that didn't really happen. It's very common after head injuries. I know what I saw, Min-jun said firmly. Of course, Inspector Yoon said, but his tone said he thought Min-jun was mistaken. After the investigators left, Min-jun asked Hae-jin to bring him his phone. He needed to search for answers. His fingers, still stiff and sore, typed slowly. John Cena Yellow Sea Rescue. Nothing useful came up. Just news articles about the plane crash that didn't mention any American rescuer. He searched for John Cena's social media. He found the verified accounts easily. His hand shook as he scrolled through the posts from 2 days ago. The day of the crash, there were posts. Multiple posts. John Cena was in Los Angeles. He posted a video of himself working out at a gym. The timestamp said 9:00 a.m. Pacific time. That would have been 1 a.m. Korean time, right around when the rescue happened. But he was clearly in America, thousands of miles away. Min-jun felt his world tilting. How could John Cena be in Los Angeles and in the Yellow Sea at the same time? It was impossible. Maybe everyone was right. Maybe he had imagined it all, but it felt so real. He could remember the man's face so clearly, the way he moved through the water. The strength in his hands, the calm in his voice. Hae-jin came back into the room with his daughters. Seo-yeon, the 8-year-old, climbed carefully onto the bed next to him. Appa, she said softly, are you okay? Min-jun hugged her gently, careful of his broken ribs. I'm okay, sweetheart. I'm going to be fine. Were you scared? Taeyoon, the 6-year-old, asked from beside the bed. Yes, Min-jun admitted. I was very scared. But someone helped us. Who helped you? Seo-yeon asked. Min-jun looked at Hae-jin. She was watching him with worried eyes. He knew she thought he was confused. Maybe he was. Maybe his mind had created a hero because he needed one in that terrible moment. I'm not sure anymore, he said quietly. On the fourth day, Min Jun was finally allowed to have his laptop. He searched everything he could find about the rescue. News articles, survivor interviews, official reports. The story was consistent. A fishing vessel captained by Dong-hyun Choi had responded to the Mayday call and rescued all survivors. But Min Jun found something strange. He pulled up maritime tracking data. The fishing vessel had been 40 nautical miles away when the Mayday call went out. At a fishing boat's normal speed, it would take at least 2 hours to cover that distance, but they arrived in less than 10 minutes. How was that possible? He also found interviews with survivors. Most of them talked about the fishing crew, but a few mentioned something else. The mother with the little girl said, "There was a foreign man. Very strong. He helped my daughter." The teenage boy said, "I remember someone speaking English. He pulled me from the plane." Min Jun felt a surge of hope. He wasn't crazy. Other people remembered too. He found an article with an interview of Captain Choi, the fishing boat captain. The reporter had asked him about the rescue. His answer was strange. "We had help," Captain Choi said. "A foreign passenger who happened to be on board. Very brave man. Very strong. A passenger on the fishing boat." But the reporter didn't follow up. Didn't ask for a name or more details. Min Jun tried to find more information, but there was nothing. No passenger manifest for the fishing boat, no name. No description beyond foreign and strong. When the doctor came for evening rounds, Min Jun asked, "Is it possible for a head injury to make you remember things very clearly? Things that didn't happen?" The doctor considered this. Head injuries usually make memories foggy, not clearer. "Why do you ask?" "I remember something very clearly from the crash. But everyone says it couldn't have happened. What do you remember?" Min Jun told her about the American man, about his face, his strength, his calm presence. When he finished, the doctor was quiet for a moment. "Captain Park," she said finally. "Sometimes in extreme trauma, witnesses report unusual things. Feelings of presence, of help from unexpected sources. Some people call them guardian angels. Some call them hallucinations. But the feeling is very real to the person experiencing it." "So you think I imagined him?" "I think you experienced something meaningful to you. Whether it was exactly as you remember it or not, it helped you survive. Maybe that's what matters." But it did matter to Min Jun. It mattered very much. That night he couldn't sleep. His ribs hurt. His head ached. But more than that, his mind wouldn't rest.
He kept seeing that face.
Those hands pulling people from the water, the impossible speed and strength. Hyejin had gone home with the girls. She would come back in the morning. Min Jun was alone with his thoughts and his doubts. At midnight, his phone buzzed. A message from Ji-woo. "Captain, I can't sleep. I keep thinking about what you said. About the strong hands. I remember them now. Very clearly. They didn't feel normal. Too strong. And the voice that spoke to me, it was in English. I remember now. You're safe now. Just breathe." Who says that in English to a Korean person in the middle of the Yellow Sea? Min Jun sat up, ignoring the pain. His heart was racing. Ji-woo remembered. She remembered. He typed back quickly. "Do you remember his face?" The response came a minute later. "Not clearly. Everything was blurry. But I remember the feeling. Like someone very powerful was taking care of us. Someone who knew exactly what to do." Min Jun put down his phone. His hands were shaking. He wasn't crazy. Something impossible had happened that day. Something he didn't understand. But it was real. He knew it was real. The next morning, the doctor cleared him to go home. He could leave the hospital but needed to rest for several weeks. No flying, no stress. Just healing. As nurses helped him get dressed, a news program played on the room's television. The reporter was talking about the crash. The miraculous rescue of Flight 457 continues to amaze experts. All 25 people survived what should have been a deadly crash. Captain Min Jun Park's skill and the quick response of a local fishing vessel are being credited with the incredible outcome. The screen showed footage of the crash site, then interviews with survivors, then a brief clip of the fishing boat captain Dong-hyun Choi. Min Jun stopped moving. He stared at the screen. Captain Choi was saying, "Some things cannot be explained. They can only be witnessed and accepted." The reporter asked, What do you mean by that?" But the clip ended. They cut to a different story. Min Jun wanted to throw something at the television. What did Captain Choi mean? Did he know something? Min Jun? Hyejin had arrived to take him home. "Are you ready?" He looked at his wife, at his daughters standing behind her. They looked tired and worried. They had been through so much stress because of him. Maybe he should just let this go. Except that he would never know the truth. Be grateful that everyone survived and move on with his life. But he knew he couldn't. Not yet. Hyejin, he said, I need to do something before we go home. I need to talk to Captain Choi, the fishing boat captain. His wife sighed. Min-jun, please. You need to rest. You need to heal, I know. And I will. But first I need to know. I need to understand what happened that day. Please. Hyejin looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. Okay, but after that you promise to rest? No more investigating? I promise, Min-jun said. But in his heart he knew it was a promise he might not be able to keep. 3 weeks passed. Min-jun's body healed slowly, but his mind could not rest. His broken ribs hurt less each day. The cut on his head became a scar. But every night he dreamed of the crash. Every night he saw that face. Those impossibly strong hands pulling people from the water. He was supposed to be resting. The doctor had cleared him physically, but said he needed a psychological evaluation before he could fly again. Min-jun knew why. Everyone thought he was obsessed. Maybe he was. His dining room table was covered with papers. Printouts of maritime records. News articles. Screenshots from social media. Maps of the Yellow Sea. Hyejin looked at the mess with worried eyes but said nothing. She just brought him tea and quietly cleaned up around him. Appa, what are you looking for? Seo-yeon asked one afternoon. She stood next to the table looking at all the papers with curious eyes. The truth, Min-jun said. Then he smiled at her. But don't worry. I'll find it soon and then everything will go back to normal. But would it? Could it? How could life be normal when something impossible had happened and nobody believed him? He had tried to let it go. For the first week after leaving the hospital, he really tried. He spent time with his family, played with his daughters, watched movies with Hyejin, but his mind kept returning to that day, to the questions that had no answers. Now he spent his days researching. He had compiled a list of facts that made no sense. 1. The fishing boat was 40 nautical miles away but arrived in minutes. Impossible. 2. Maritime records showed the boat's engine running at normal capacity. But it would have needed to go 5 times faster than normal to arrive that quickly. Impossible. 3. Multiple survivors mentioned a foreign man, very strong, who helped with the rescue. But no name. No official record. No photographs. 4. John Cena was verified to be in Los Angeles at the time of the crash. But Min-jun had seen him. He was certain. 5. Captain Choi's strange comment on television. Some things cannot be explained. Min-jun had tried calling Captain Choi several times. The phone number for the fishing company just rang and rang. No one answered. So finally he made a decision. I'm going to Mokpo, he told Hyejin one morning. She looked up from her coffee. What? Mokpo, that's where Captain Choi's boat is based. I need to talk to him in person. Min-jun, no. The doctor said you need to rest. Going to Mokpo is a 3-hour drive. I'll take the train. I'll be careful. But I have to do this, Hyejin. I can't move on until I understand. His wife was quiet for a long time. Then she said, You think I don't see how this is affecting you? You barely sleep. You don't eat properly. You're here with us, but your mind is somewhere else. This isn't healthy. I know, Min-jun admitted. But ignoring it isn't working either. Let me go talk to Captain Choi. Maybe he has answers. Maybe he can help me understand. Then I can let it go. Hyejin looked at him with sad eyes. Okay, but I'm coming with you. Someone needs to make sure you actually rest on the train instead of reading more articles on your phone. Min-jun smiled and hugged her. Thank you. They left the next morning. His daughters stayed with Hyejin's mother. The train ride was smooth and quiet. Min-jun tried to rest like he promised, but his mind was racing. What would Captain Choi tell him? Did the old fisherman have answers? Or would this trip just lead to more questions? Mokpo was a coastal city, smaller than Seoul but busy with fishing industry. The smell of the ocean was strong. Seagulls cried overhead. Min-jun and Hyejin took a taxi to the harbor where Captain Choi's boat was registered. The harbor was full of fishing vessels. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds, all tied up at long docks. Men worked on the boats, repairing nets, cleaning decks, loading supplies. Min-jun asked several people where he could find Captain Dong-hyun Choi. Finally, an old woman selling dried fish pointed to a boat at the far end of the harbor. That's Captain Choi's boat, the Blue Dragon, but I don't know if he's there today. Minjun and Hyejin walked to the boat. It was a standard commercial fishing vessel, maybe 40 feet long, painted blue and white. Nothing special about it. Nothing that would suggest it could travel at impossible speeds or carry miracle workers. A young man was on the deck, coiling ropes. "Excuse me," Minjun called. "Is Captain Choi here?" The young man looked up. Recognition flashed across his face. "You're Captain Park, the pilot. Yes, I need to speak with Captain Choi. Is he available?" The young man hesitated. "He's in the cabin. But Captain, he said he doesn't want to talk about the rescue anymore. Too many reporters. Too many questions. Please," Minjun said. "I'm not a reporter. I was there. I need to understand what happened." The young man studied him for a moment, then nodded. "Wait here." He disappeared into the cabin. Minjun and Hyejin waited on the dock. The sun was warm. The sound of water lapping against boats was peaceful. But Minjun felt tense, nervous. After a few minutes, an older man emerged from the cabin. Captain Dong-hyun Choi. He was in his 60s with deeply tanned skin and weathered features. His eyes were sharp and intelligent. He looked at Minjun for a long moment without speaking. "Captain Park," he finally said. His voice was rough like the ocean. "I wondered if you would come." "You knew I would?" Minjun asked. "Men who see what you saw don't rest easy," Captain Choi said. He climbed down from the boat onto the dock. "Walk with me." He started walking along the harbor. Minjun followed. Hyejin stayed a few steps behind, giving them space to talk but staying close enough to hear. For a while, Captain Choi said nothing. They just walked, past other boats, past workers, past stacks of fishing equipment. Finally, they reached a quieter area where old boats sat unused. "You want to know about him?" Captain Choi said. It wasn't a question. "Yes," Minjun said. His heart was pounding. "Everyone thinks I imagined him, but I didn't. I know what I saw." Captain Choi sat down on an old wooden crate. He pulled out a cigarette and lit it. "What did you see?" "An American man, strong. He pulled everyone from the water. He saved all 25 people, mostly by himself. He moved like he wasn't human, too fast. Too strong." The old captain nodded slowly. "And what did he look like, this man?" Minjun hesitated. If he said John Cena, Captain Choi would think he was crazy. But lying wouldn't help. He looked like John Cena, the famous American wrestler and actor. Exactly like him. To Minjun's surprise, Captain Choi didn't laugh. He didn't look skeptical. He just took a long drag on his cigarette and stared out at the ocean. "Some things aren't meant to be understood, Captain Park," he finally said. "That's what you said on television. But what does that mean?" Captain Choi turned to look at him. "How did we get to you so fast? Did you figure that out?" "No, it's impossible. You were 40 nautical miles away." "Yes, we were. I was checking nets that morning. Routine work. And then," he paused, his eyes distant with memory, "our engine started running differently. Powerful, like nothing I'd ever felt. The boat was moving fast, very fast. Too fast. How fast? Faster than any fishing boat should go. Our instruments went crazy. The navigation system was spinning, but it was pointing in one direction, directly toward where you would crash. And somehow I knew that we needed to go there, that people needed help." Minjun felt chills run down his spine. "What caused it? The engine surge?" "I don't know," Captain Choi said. "But when we arrived at the crash site, he was already there. In the water. Like he'd been waiting. Who was he?" Captain Choi shook his head. "I don't know his real name. I don't know where he came from. But he wasn't alone in the water. He had already started pulling people out before we even got close. But how? How was he there before you?" "That's the question, isn't it?" Captain Choi took another drag on his cigarette. "And it's not the first time something like this has happened." Minjun felt his legs go weak. "What do you mean?" 30 years ago, Captain Choi said quietly. "My father was a fisherman, too. One day he fell overboard in a storm. The water was rough. He couldn't swim well. He was drowning, but someone pulled him out, a stranger who appeared from nowhere. My father said the man had unusual strength. Said he spoke a language my father didn't understand, but his eyes were kind. What happened to the man? He disappeared. Just like your rescuer. After my father was safe, the man was gone, no trace. My father spent years wondering if he really existed or if his oxygen-starved brain made him up. But he knew. Deep in his heart, he knew it was real. Captain Choi stood up. He walked to the edge of the dock and looked down at the water. My father taught me something important. He said there are forces in this world we don't understand. Helpers who appear when the need is greatest. He called them guardians. You believe that? Min-jun asked. You believe in guardians? I believe what I saw, Captain Choi said firmly. I saw our boat move at impossible speed. I saw a man in the water performing impossible rescues. I saw all 25 people saved when they should have died. He turned to face Min-jun. I don't need to understand it. I just need to accept it. But who was he really? There has to be a logical explanation. Captain Choi reached into his jacket pocket. He pulled out an old waterproof phone. I took a photo during the rescue. I wasn't trying to. I was just documenting everything for the authorities. But I got one shot of him. He pulled up the photo and handed the phone to Min-jun. The image was blurry, taken in chaotic conditions. But you could see the water, the debris, and a figure. A large man surrounded by what looked like light. You couldn't see his face clearly. But his build was unmistakable, strong, powerful. That light around him, Min-jun whispered. What is that? I don't know. Reflection? Camera glitch? Or maybe something else? Min-jun stared at the photo. This was proof. Real proof that someone extraordinary had been there. But it raised more questions than it answered. What happened after we reached shore? Min-jun asked. Where did he go? We docked in Mokpo to get everyone to the hospital. He helped carry the injured off the boat. He stayed until everyone was safe. And then, Captain Choi paused. He thanked me. He said thank you for the ride. And he walked away. I turned to talk to a paramedic for maybe 30 seconds. When I looked back, he was gone. Disappeared into the crowd. I searched for him, but it was like he'd never existed. Hye-jin, who had been quiet this whole time, spoke up. Captain Choi, do you really believe this man was something supernatural? The old captain looked at her. I believe he was real. I believe he saved lives. Beyond that? He shrugged. I'm just a simple fisherman. I catch fish. I sail boats. I don't understand the mysteries of the universe, but I've learned not to question miracles. Min-jun felt tears in his eyes. Everyone thinks I'm crazy. The doctors, the investigators, even my own wife thought I was confused from my head injury. I don't think you're crazy, Captain Choi said gently. I think you saw the truth. And the truth is sometimes harder to accept than lies. Can you send me that photo? Min-jun asked. Captain Choi nodded. Give me your number. Min-jun's phone buzzed a moment later. The photo appeared. Blurry proof of an impossible day. Thank you, Min-jun said. Thank you for believing me. Thank you for telling me your story. What will you do now? Captain Choi asked. Min-jun looked at the photo on his phone. Then at Hye-jin. Then back at the old captain. I don't know. Part of me wants to keep searching for answers. But maybe you're right. Maybe some things can't be understood. Can't be understood, Captain Choi agreed. But can be accepted. And can be grateful for. He put his hand on Min-jun's shoulder. You survived something impossible, Captain Park. You and your passengers got a second chance at life. Don't waste that gift trying to solve the mystery. Use it to live better. They walked back to Captain Choi's boat in silence. When they reached it, the old captain climbed aboard and then turned back. One more thing, he said. That man, whoever he was, he told me something before he left. He said, tell the captain he did well. Tell him to keep flying. He meant you, Captain Park. Keep flying. Min-jun felt warmth spread through his chest. Keep flying. That's what he was meant to do. That's who he was. As he and Hye-jin walked back through the harbor to find a taxi, she took his hand. Do you feel better now? Talking to Captain Choi? Yes, Min-jun said. And surprisingly, he meant it. I still don't understand what happened, but I believe it was real, and maybe that's enough. On the train ride home, Min-jun looked at the blurry photo again and again. In his heart, he knew the truth. Something extraordinary had happened that day. Someone extraordinary had saved them. Whether it was really John Cena or someone who just looked like him or something else entirely, it didn't matter. What mattered was the message. Keep flying. And that's exactly what he intended to do. 2 months after the crash, Min-jun stood in front of his bathroom mirror. He wore his pilot uniform, the dark blue jacket with gold stripes on the sleeves, the white shirt underneath. the cap with the airline logo. He looked the same as before, but he felt different, changed. "You look handsome, Appa," Da-un said from the doorway. She was holding her favorite stuffed rabbit. Min-jun smiled at her reflection. "Thank you, sweetheart. Are you scared?" she asked. Her 6-year-old eyes were serious and worried. Min-jun knelt down so they were at the same height. "A little bit," he admitted. "But being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you do the right thing even when you are scared." Da-un hugged him tight. "You're the bravest Appa in the world." In the kitchen, Heejin was making breakfast. Seo-yeon was eating cereal and reading a book. Everything looked normal. But there was tension in the air. Everyone knew today was important. Today Min-jun would fly for the first time since the crash. "The doctor cleared you completely, right?" Hyejin asked. She tried to sound casual, but he could hear the worry in her voice. "Yes. All the medical checks passed. The psychological evaluation too. I'm officially fit to fly." Min-jun poured himself coffee. His hands were steady, but his heart was beating fast. The truth was he had struggled with the psychological evaluation. The psychiatrist asked many questions. About his memory of the crash, about the mysterious rescuer, about his obsession with finding answers. Min-jun had been honest, maybe too honest. He told the psychiatrist about Captain Choi's story, about the blurry photograph, about his belief that something supernatural had happened. The psychiatrist had been quiet for a long time after Min-jun finished talking. Then she said something unexpected. "Captain Park, many pilots who survive crashes develop PTSD. They're afraid to fly again. They doubt their skills, but you're not afraid of flying. You're afraid of not understanding. That's different. Is it better or worse?" Min-jun had asked. "Neither. It's just different. And I think you've made peace with it. You may never fully understand what happened that day, but you've accepted it. That's what matters for mental health. You can fly again." So here he was, cleared and ready, but still nervous. At the airport, Min-jun went through security like any other day. Some staff members recognized him and nodded with respect. The crash had made him somewhat famous in aviation circles, the pilot who saved 25 lives with a perfect water landing. But Min-jun didn't feel like a hero. He felt like someone who got incredibly lucky, someone who had help from an impossible source. His new co-pilot was waiting at the gate, Lee Tae-yang, young, only 28 years old, fresh and eager. When he saw Min-jun, his face lit up. "Captain Park, it's an honor to fly with you today, sir." Min-jun shook his hand. "Please just call me Captain Min-jun. We'll be working together as a team." They did the pre-flight check together, walking around the aircraft, checking every detail. Tae-yang was thorough and professional. When they finished, he looked at Min-jun with curiosity. "Captain, can I ask you something?" "Of course. Are you nervous?" "About flying again?" Min-jun considered lying, saying he was fine, perfectly confident. But what good would that do? "Yes," he admitted. "I'm nervous, but that's okay. A little nervousness keeps you careful, keeps you focused." Tae-yang nodded, looking relieved. "I was nervous too. My first time flying with someone who survived a crash. But now I feel better. Thank you for being honest." The passengers began boarding. Min-jun watched them from the cockpit. Families with children, business people with laptops, elderly couples holding hands, all of them trusting him to keep them safe. The weight of that responsibility felt heavy, but it also felt right. This was his purpose. This was what he was meant to do. "All passengers on board, Captain," the flight attendant reported. Min-jun took a deep breath. He pressed the button for the speaker system. "Good morning, everyone. This is Captain Park. Welcome aboard. Our flight time today will be approximately 1 hour. Weather conditions are excellent. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight." His voice was steady and calm. No one listening would guess he was nervous. The engine started. That familiar sound, that beautiful sound of power and readiness. Min-jun felt some of his nervousness fade. This was where he belonged, in the cockpit. In the sky, the takeoff was smooth. The plane lifted into the air perfectly. Seoul got smaller below them. The sky opened up ahead, blue and endless. Min-jun felt a rush of emotion. Joy, relief, gratitude. "Beautiful day for flying," Tae-yang said with a smile. "Yes," Min-jun agreed. "Beautiful." They flew the same route as before, Seoul to Jeju Island, over the Yellow Sea. When they passed over the area where the crash happened, Min-jun felt his chest tighten. He looked down at the water. Somewhere down there, his old aircraft rested on the ocean floor. Somewhere down there, something impossible had happened. "Are you okay, Captain?" Taeyang asked, noticing his expression. "Yes," Minjun said. "Just remembering. Do you think about it often?" "The crash?" "Every day," Minjun admitted, but not in a bad way. "It taught me something important. Life is precious. Every flight is a gift. Every safe landing is a miracle we should be grateful for." Taeyang was quiet for a moment. "That's a good way to think about it." The rest of the flight was routine and perfect. They landed in Jeju smoothly. The passengers applauded, something they usually only did on difficult landings. Maybe someone recognized him. Maybe word had spread that this was his first flight back. Either way, Minjun felt a warmth in his heart. After the passengers left, Minjun sat in the cockpit for a moment. Taeyang had gone to file paperwork. He was alone with his thoughts. He touched the controls gently, almost like a prayer of thanks. He had done it. He had flown again, and it felt right. In the crew lounge, Minjun received an unexpected package. A courier had dropped it off with no return address. The staff member who handed it to him shrugged. The courier left before we could ask any questions. Minjun opened the package carefully. Inside was a simple wristband, black with white letters. In English on one side, "Never give up." In Korean on the other side, "Pogi Hajima." There was also a note, written in English with neat, clear handwriting. "You saved them with your skill and courage. I just helped with the heavy lifting. Keep flying, Captain." A friend, no signature. But Minjun knew. He knew exactly who sent it. His hands shook as he held the wristband. This was real. It wasn't his imagination. Someone had sent him this. Someone who knew. Someone who was there. He put the wristband on his left wrist. It fit perfectly. From that moment on, he wore it every time he flew. It became part of his uniform. A reminder. A connection to that impossible day. Over the next few months, Minjun flew regularly. Different routes, different passengers, but always the same careful attention to safety. Word spread among the crew that Captain Park had changed. He was more present, more grateful. He thanked people more. He smiled more. He treated every flight like it was special. One evening flight stands out in his memory. They were flying the same route again, Seoul to Jeju, passing over the crash site. Minjun made an announcement that wasn't standard. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Park speaking. We're currently flying over an area that's very special to me. 6 months ago, I had to make an emergency landing in these waters, but thanks to skilled rescue workers and maybe a little bit of divine help, everyone survived. I want to take this moment to honor all the people who help us fly safely every day. The ground crew, the air traffic controllers, the rescue workers standing by, and whatever guardian angels might be watching over us. Thank you all." He released the button. Taeyang looked at him with wide eyes. "Captain, that was beautiful. But was it appropriate?" Minjun smiled. "Maybe not standard procedure, but sometimes the heart needs to speak." In the passenger cabin, people were quiet. Some were confused. Some were moved. And a few who knew the story of Flight 457 had tears in their eyes. After landing, an elderly woman stopped Minjun in the terminal. "Captain Park? I recognized your voice. I was on Flight 457. You saved my life that day." Minjun recognized her. Mrs. Han, the woman whose husband had a heart attack. "Mrs. Han, how are you?" "How is your husband?" "He's well. Fully recovered. We're going to Jeju to celebrate our 40th wedding anniversary. Because of you, we got to have that anniversary." She took his hands in hers. "Thank you. Thank you for giving us more time together." "I'm so glad you're both well," Minjun said. "Enjoy your anniversary." After she left, Taeyang said, "That must feel good. Knowing you saved her life." "It does," Minjun agreed. "But I didn't do it alone." "The rescue crew?" "Yes, and maybe something more." A few weeks later, Minjun was invited to speak at an aviation safety conference. Airlines from all over Asia sent their senior pilots. The topic was crisis management, how to handle catastrophic system failures, what to do when everything goes wrong. Minjun had been nervous about public speaking, but standing on that stage looking at hundreds of experienced pilots, he felt calm. He had a story to tell, an important story. He told them everything, the technical details of the hydraulic failure, his decision-making process during the crisis, the water landing procedure, but he also told them about the aftermath, about the mysterious rescuer, about Captain Choi's boat arriving impossibly fast, about the message to keep flying. Some people in the audience looked skeptical. Others looked moved. When he finished, there was a moment of silence. Then the room erupted in applause. A standing ovation. During the question period, a veteran pilot from Japan asked, "Captain Park, do you really believe something supernatural happened? Or is it possible you're remembering incorrectly due to trauma?" Min-jun touched his wristband. "I believe what I experienced. Whether it was supernatural or just extraordinary human beings doing impossible things, I may never know for sure, but it taught me something crucial. When we face situations that seem hopeless, sometimes help comes from unexpected places. Our job as pilots isn't to understand everything. It's to do our best, stay calm, and trust that we're not completely alone up there." More applause. The conference organizer thanked him for his honesty and bravery in sharing such a personal story. After the speech, several pilots approached him privately. One from Singapore told him about a near crash where his engine restarted inexplicably at the last moment. One from Thailand described a time when he felt guided to make a decision that saved lives. One from China simply said, "I believe you. Something watches over us. I felt it too." Min-jun realized he wasn't alone in experiencing the inexplicable. Many pilots had stories. Most kept them private, afraid of being mocked. But they knew. They understood. That night, Min-jun returned home to his family. Hee-jin had cooked his favorite meal. The girls showed him pictures they drew at school. Seo-yeon had drawn an airplane with an angel flying next to it. Ta-yoon had drawn their family holding hands. "Tell us the story, Appa," Seo-yeon asked after dinner. The story about the crash. It had become their favorite bedtime story. Not the scary parts, but the story of courage and help and miracles. Min-jun never tired of telling it. He tucked them into bed and began. Once there was a pilot who loved flying more than anything. One day his plane had a big problem and he had to land in the ocean. It was very scary. But he stayed calm and did his best. And when things seemed hopeless, help arrived. Strong hands pulled everyone to safety. Kind words told everyone they would be okay. "Was it an angel?" Ta-yoon asked like she always did. "Maybe," Min-jun said like he always answered. "Or maybe it was just someone very special. Someone who helps people when they need it most. Like a superhero?" Seo-yeon asked. "Exactly like a superhero." After the girls fell asleep, Min-jun sat with Hye-jin on their couch. She rested her head on his shoulder. "You seem happier," she said. "More at peace." "I am," Min-jun agreed. "I stopped trying to solve the mystery. Now I just live with it, accept it, be grateful for it." "I'm proud of you," Hye-jin said. "You could have been destroyed by that crash. But instead you became stronger, better." Min-jun looked at his wristband. "Never give up." "I had help," he said quietly. In his pocket, his phone buzzed. A text from Jiwoo, his former co-pilot. She was flying again, too. The message said, "Just passed over the crash site on my route. Said a little thank you to whoever was watching over us that day. Hope you're well, Captain." Min-jun smiled and texted back, "I'm well. Keep flying. We're not alone up there." He meant it. Whether it was guardian angels, divine intervention, extraordinary human beings, or something else entirely, he believed now that pilots were never truly alone. Something watched over them. Something helped when the need was greatest. That night, Min-jun slept peacefully. No nightmares. No questions keeping him awake. Just gratitude and peace. He had learned the most important lesson. Some mysteries don't need solving. Some gifts don't need explaining. They just need to be accepted with a grateful heart, and tomorrow he would fly again. 6 months after the crash, Min-jun had settled into a comfortable routine. Flying regularly, coming home to his family every night or every few days, depending on the route. Life felt normal again, but it was a different normal. Better somehow, more meaningful. It was an evening flight, one of his favorites. The sun was setting as passengers boarded. The sky was painted orange and pink and purple, beautiful and peaceful. Min-jun loved flying during sunset. Something about the colors made him feel connected to something bigger than himself. His co-pilot today was Tae-yang again. They had flown together many times now. They worked well as a team. Tae-yang had learned a lot. He was becoming an excellent pilot. "Another beautiful evening, Captain," Tae-yang said as they did their pre-flight checks. "The best kind," Min-jun agreed. The route was familiar, Seoul to Jeju Island, the same route as the crash. Minjun had flown it dozens of times since returning to work. At first it was difficult. His hands would shake a little as they approached the area where he went down. His heart would beat faster, but each time got easier. Now it felt almost healing, like he was reclaiming that space, turning a place of trauma into a place of triumph. The takeoff was smooth. The passengers settled in. The flight attendants served drinks and snacks. Everything was routine and perfect. As they flew over the yellow sea, Minjun looked down at the water. The sun was lower now, reflecting off the surface like a million tiny mirrors. Beautiful. He thought about all the people down there on boats. Fishermen like Captain Choi, Coast Guard crews, cargo ships, all of them going about their daily work, all of them part of the vast network that kept people safe. "We're approaching the area," Taeyang said quietly. He always mentioned it. He knew it was important to Minjun. Minjun nodded. He pressed the button for the passenger announcement. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Park. We're currently passing over an area that holds special meaning. 6 months ago, I had to make an emergency landing in these waters, but thanks to skilled flying, incredible rescue workers, and perhaps some divine assistance, all 25 people aboard survived without serious injury. I want to take a moment to honor everyone who keeps us safe in the skies, the mechanics who maintain these aircraft, the air traffic controllers who guide us, the emergency responders who stand ready to help, and whatever guardian angels might be watching over us tonight. May we all arrive safely at our destinations." He released the button. In the cabin, passengers were quiet. Some understood the significance. Others were just touched by the sentiment. A few took out their phones to search for the story of Flight 457. Taeyang smiled. "That never gets old, Captain. The way you honor that day." "It's important to remember," Minjun said, "to be grateful." The flight continued smoothly. They were about 20 minutes from landing when Minjun's phone buzzed in his pocket. During cruise, he sometimes checked messages if everything was stable. It was a text from an unknown number. "Still flying, good, keep going. You're doing important work." Minjun stared at the message. His heart started racing. "Who sent this? How did they get his number?" He showed it to Taeyang. "Look at this." Taeyang read it and shrugged. "Maybe a fan? You're kind of famous now, Captain." "Maybe," Minjun said, but something about the message felt familiar. The tone, the encouragement. They landed in Jeju smoothly and perfectly. Minjun had done this landing hundreds of times. He could do it in his sleep. The passengers applauded lightly. Some smiled at him as they left. One young boy gave him a salute. After all the passengers departed, Minjun and Taeyang went to the crew lounge to file their post-flight paperwork. Minjun checked his phone again. The message was still there, from an unknown number. He tried to reply but got an error message. "Number not in service." Strange. While he was sitting there thinking about the mysterious text, the lounge door opened. A young woman entered wearing the airline staff uniform. She looked nervous. "Captain Park?" she asked. "Yes?" "There's someone here to see you." "He says it's important." Minjun's heart skipped a beat. "Who is it?" He didn't give his name. "But he's waiting in the hallway." "Should I tell him you're busy?" "No," Minjun said, standing up quickly. "I'll see him." He walked into the hallway. Several people were there. Crew members, passengers waiting for connections, ground staff. But one person stood out, a tall American man wearing casual clothes, a baseball cap pulled low. But Minjun recognized the build, the posture, the presence. Their eyes met. The man smiled slightly and tilted his head toward a quieter corner. Minjun followed him, his legs feeling weak. When they were away from other people, the man stopped and turned. He lifted his cap slightly. It was him. Exactly him. John Cena's face. Unmistakable and impossible. "You," Minjun whispered. "You're real." "I'm real," the man confirmed. His voice was the same voice from that day in the water. Deep and calm. "How? Why? I don't understand." "You don't need to understand," the man said gently. "You just need to keep doing what you're doing, flying, living, being grateful. But everyone thinks I'm crazy. They think I imagined you. Does it matter what they think? You know the truth." "That's enough." Minjun felt tears building in his eyes. "Why did you help us? Why were you there?" The man was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Because you needed help. And because I could. That's all the reason needed. Are you really John Cena?" The man smiled. "I'm someone who helps when help is needed. Sometimes I look like this. Sometimes I look different. The appearance doesn't matter. The help does. I don't understand, I know. But you've learned to live with not understanding.
That's good.
That's growth, Minjun wiped his eyes. I wanted to thank you. Properly. You saved 25 lives. You saved 25 lives, the man corrected. Your skill kept that plane together. Your calmness kept people from panicking. Your courage helped everyone after the crash. I just did the heavy lifting. He smiled at his own words. Will I see you again? When you need to. The man put a hand on Minjun's shoulder. The touch was warm and strong. Keep flying, Captain. The world needs good pilots like you. People need to see that even when things go wrong, there's hope. You show them that hope every time you take off. Wait, Minjun said. Can I ask you one more question? One more. Why me? Why my flight? There are crashes all over the world. Why were we saved? The man considered this. Do you have children, Captain? Yes, 2 daughters. And if both your daughters needed help at the same time in different places, would you choose which one to save? No, I'd save both somehow. Exactly. You don't think about the math. You just help. Everyone who can be helped should be helped. Your flight could be helped, so it was. He started to walk away. Wait, Minjun called. What's your real name? The man turned back. He smiled, and for just a moment there was something in his eyes. Something not quite human. Something ancient and powerful and kind. Call me a friend. That's all you need to know. He walked away down the hallway. Minjun blinked and suddenly the man was gone. Just disappeared into a small crowd of people. Minjun ran after him looking everywhere. But he had vanished, like he was never there at all. Tae Yang came out of the crew lounge. Captain, are you okay? You look like you saw a ghost. Not a ghost, Minjun said quietly. An angel. Over the next few weeks, Minjun continued flying. But something had changed again. He felt even more peaceful, even more grateful. The conversation with the mysterious man had given him closure. He stopped checking his phone for messages. He stopped looking at the blurry photograph from Captain Choi. He just lived his life, fully and gratefully. 1 month later, he received an invitation. The airline was organizing a reunion for all the survivors of Flight 457. A chance to come together, share stories, support each other, and celebrate their second chance at life. The event was held in a hotel conference room. 23 passengers and 2 crew members, all of them together again. Some Minjun had seen before. Others he hadn't seen since the crash. Everyone hugged. Everyone cried happy tears. Everyone shared their stories of the past months. Mr. and Mrs. Han were there. Mr. Han's heart was fully healed. They held hands like newlyweds. We feel like we got our lives back, Mrs. Han said. Every day is a gift now. The mother with the little girl was there. The girl, now bigger and braver, ran up to Minjun and hugged his legs. Thank you for saving me, Mr. Pilot. Minjun knelt down. You were very brave that day. I'm proud of you. Jiwoo was there looking healthy and strong. They hugged for a long time. We did it, Captain. We survived. We're flying again. We did it together, Minjun said. The teenage boy who had been pulled from the plane was there with his parents. He had written an essay about the experience for school. He wanted to become a pilot now because of what happened. Everyone had stories. Stories of how the crash changed them, made them appreciate life more, made them kinder, made them braver, made them more grateful. Near the end of the event, Mr. Han stood up to speak. His voice was shaky with emotion. I want to say something. I'm 73 years old. I've lived a long life. I've seen a lot of things. And I've always been a cynical man. I didn't believe in miracles. I didn't believe in anything I couldn't see and touch and prove. He paused, looking around the room. But that day in the water, something happened that I can't explain. I was dying. My heart was giving out. I was drowning. And someone saved me, someone impossibly strong, someone who shouldn't have been there. And since that day, I've become a different person. I believe in miracles now. I believe in help from unexpected places. I believe that we're not alone in this universe. Many people nodded. Some wiped away tears. Mr. Han looked directly at Minjun. Captain Park has told his story about the American man who helped rescue us. Some people doubt him. Some people think he imagined it. But I believe him, because I saw that man too. I felt his strength, and I think he came for all of us. To teach us something important. What's that? Someone asked. That miracles are real. That help comes when we need it most. That we should never give up hope no matter how bad things seem. The room was silent. Then someone started clapping. Then everyone joined in. Applause filled the room. Not for Mr. Hand's speech, but for the truth of it. The shared understanding that they had all experienced something extraordinary. After the reunion, Min-jun drove home. It was evening. The sky was that same beautiful mix of orange and pink and purple. He thought about everything. The crash, the rescue, the mysterious helper, the recovery, the return to flying, the reunion. His life had been split into before and after. Before the crash, he was a good pilot. Competent and careful, but also a bit routine, a bit disconnected. Flying was just a job. A thing he did. After the crash, flying became something sacred, a privilege, a gift. Every takeoff was a miracle. Every landing was a triumph. Every passenger safely delivered was a victory worth celebrating. When he got home, his daughters ran to greet him like always. He hugged them tight, breathing in the smell of their shampoo, feeling their small hearts beating against his chest. "Appa, tell us the story," Seoyeon said. "Not tonight," Hyejin said. "It's late. You need to sleep." "Please, Iyama," Daeun begged. "Just the short version." Min-jun looked at Hyejin. She smiled and nodded. "Just the short version." They went to the girls' room. Both climbed into Seoyeon's bed. Min-jun sat between them. Hyejin stood in the doorway listening. "Once upon a time," Min-jun began, "there was a pilot who loved his job. He flew people safely through the sky every day. One day something very scary happened. His plane stopped working right. He had to land in the ocean. It was terrifying. But you were brave," Seoyeon said. "I tried to be. I stayed calm. I did my best. But my best wasn't enough. We needed help. And help came. Strong hands pulled people from the water. A kind voice told everyone they would be okay, and all 25 people survived. Was it really an angel? Taeyeon asked, her eyes wide. Min-jun thought about this, about the man in the hallway at Jeju Airport, about his words, about the impossibility of it all, about the gift of not needing to understand everything. "I think," he said carefully, "that angels can look like different things. Sometimes they look like fishermen on boats. Sometimes they look like doctors in hospitals. Sometimes they look like family members who love us. And sometimes when we really need it, they look like superheroes who appear from nowhere." "What did your angel look like?" Seoyeon asked. "Like someone very strong and very kind. Like someone who cared about strangers enough to risk everything to save them." "Will we ever meet an angel?" Taeyeon asked. "Maybe you already have," Min-jun said. "Maybe angels are all around us. We just don't always recognize them." He tucked them in and kissed their foreheads. "The most important thing isn't whether angels are real. The most important thing is what we learn from them." "What did you learn?" Seoyeon asked. "I learned that when you're scared, stay calm. When things seem impossible, keep trying. When you need help, don't be afraid to ask. And when help comes, be grateful and pass it forward by helping others." "We love you, Appa," the girls said together. "I love you too, more than all the stars in the sky." After they fell asleep, Min-jun joined Hyejin in their bedroom. She was looking at something on her phone. When he came in, she showed him. It was a news article. "Mysterious benefactor saves lives again." The story was about a car accident in America. Multiple people trapped, and witnesses reported a strong man who appeared and pulled everyone to safety before emergency services arrived. The description was vague but familiar. Very strong, calm presence. Disappeared before anyone could thank him properly. "Do you think?" Hyejin asked. "I think," Min-jun said, "that there are more good things in this world than we can understand. And that's okay." He got ready for bed. As he took off his uniform, he carefully removed his wristband. He looked at it for a moment. Never give up in English. Pogihadima in Korean. Such simple words. Such powerful meaning. He put it on his nightstand where he could see it. A reminder for every morning, a promise for every flight. That night Min-jun dreamed, but not of the crash, not of fear or trauma. He dreamed of flying, smooth and peaceful flight through clear blue skies. And in his dream there was someone flying alongside him, not in a plane, just flying, strong and protective, a guardian keeping watch. When he woke up, he felt rested and ready. Today he would fly again, tomorrow too, and the day after that. for as long as his body and mind allowed, because that's what he was meant to do. That's what the mysterious helper had told him to do. Keep flying. In his wallet, Minjun kept the blurry photograph from Captain Choi. He looked at it sometimes, not obsessively anymore, just as a reminder that miracles happen, that help comes in impossible forms, that the universe is bigger and stranger and more wonderful than we can fully understand. Life went on. Seasons changed. His daughters grew. His love for Hyejin deepened. His flying skills improved. He became a mentor to younger pilots, teaching them not just technical skills, but also the importance of calm in crisis, gratitude in success, and faith in the impossible. Years later, when people asked him about Flight 457, he would smile and say, "I learned that day that we're never truly alone. When we need help most, it appears, sometimes in unexpected ways, sometimes in ways that defy explanation. Our job isn't to understand every mystery. Our job is to live well, help others, and stay grateful for every breath we take." And when very young pilots, nervous about their first flights, asked for advice, he would touch his wristband and say, "Never give up. Stay calm, do your best, and trust that if you need help, somehow, some way, it will come." Some things in life can't be explained. Some mysteries don't have answers. Some miracles don't make sense. But that doesn't make them less real. That doesn't make them less powerful. That doesn't make them less important. Captain Minjun Park learned this truth in the freezing waters of the Yellow Sea. He learned it from impossible rescue and mysterious helpers. He learned it from a blurry photograph and an unsigned note. He learned it from a wristband that said, "Never give up," and he never forgot it. He kept flying. He kept living. He kept believing in the impossible. Because one day the impossible had saved his life, and that changes a person forever, in the best possible way. On clear nights when the stars were bright, Min Jun sometimes looked up at the sky and whispered a simple thank you. To whoever was listening, to whatever had helped, to the mystery that saved 25 lives, and somewhere, somehow, he believed that thank you was heard. That it mattered. That gratitude echoed through the universe in ways beyond understanding. He was right to believe, because some truths are too important to doubt. Some gifts are too precious to question. Some help is too miraculous to explain. Min Jun flew on. His daughters grew up strong and brave. His wife loved him deeply. His passengers arrived safely. His life was full of meaning and purpose. And on his wrist every single day he wore a simple black wristband with white letters. A gift from a friend he might never fully understand. A reminder of a day when the impossible became real. A promise to never give up no matter what challenges came. The mystery remained. The question of who really saved Flight 457, but the answer didn't matter as much as the lesson. Life is precious. Help exists. Miracles happen. Stay brave. Stay grateful. Keep flying. And Captain Min Jun Park did exactly that, for many years to come. Always with gratitude in his heart and wonder in his soul. Always believing that somewhere, watching over pilots and passengers and anyone who needed help, there were guardians. Mysterious and powerful, ready to appear when the need was greatest. Some called them angels. Some called them heroes. Some called them impossible. Min Jun just called them friends, and he flew on, grateful for every day, every flight, every miracle, big and small, explainable and mysterious, real and impossible. He flew on. And life was good. Life was very, very good.